What's up, everyone? Justin here, back with a new Feuds in Wrestling show. 1990 Feuds in Wrestling for the year 1990. 90 was a big year in pro wrestling for WWF and WCW. My opinion, WWF was better because it had better production. In my opinion, larger than life talent, wrestlers, characters. But I loved what WCW did too. They had the Road Warriors for part of at least 7 months or 6 months in 1990 or 5 months in 1990. Then stupid Jim Herd, I believe, decided to not want to pay the Road Warriors more money to renew their contracts. I don't know, but Road Warrior Hawk snapped, probably because of Jim Herd was in power. Fuck Jim Herd, by the way. The guy was a fucking moron. A real fucking moron. Idiot. Knew nothing about wrestling. Didn't know how to book it. Didn't know how to run a company. He was just god-awful. He was a fucking Pizza Hut. Worked at Pizza Hut before he got his job running WCW. But anyway, somehow, even with Jim Herd in power, WCW still put on pretty damn good pay-per-views in 1990. Good pay-per-views, good matches, good main events, because they had great talents like Flair, Lex Luger, Sting, the Road Warriors, the Steiners, Doom. They had the fucking Undertaker at one point as Mean Mark Callis. They had Flying Brian. They had fucking Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express. They had great talent. Great talent. So that's the only way WCW was watchable still under Jim Herd, because of the talent that I fucking loved. All the talent I named made me a WCW fan for 1990. So here are some of the feuds of the year in 1990 for WWF and WCW. I don't have any other companies feuds really, except USWA, which was WCCW before, but turned into USWA. So 1990, March 11th, 1990, they had a really good match. Steve Austin, Gentleman, Chris Adams. I thought they had a really good feud in 1990. So they're part of the feuds of the year. Steve Austin, stunning Steve Austin, and Chris Adams in the USWA. I think it's on YouTube. Check out Steve Austin, Chris Adams matches. They were pretty damn good. And Chris Adams, by the way, the Gentleman, Chris Adams, really good worker. I believe he committed suicide. Sadly, very sad. But he had a part in training Steve Austin. He might have trained him all the way. I don't know. But he trained Steve Austin, let's just say. Or at least Steve Austin went to his training school or camp. So Steve Austin, Chris Adams, 1990, they had a really good feud. Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express had just reignited their feud in 1990 after starting it in Mid-South, their feud, and then went to the NWA, Jim Crockett, and 1990, it was back. The Midnight versus the Midnight was back. They were feuding. They wrestled on Clash of Champions 10, I believe. And they wrestled on Wrestle War 90 pay-per-view. And they wrestled probably on NWA TVs, also on TBS. So Midnight, Rock and Roll Express, really good feud in 1990. their matches, they might have done the same spots, but I didn't give a crap. Their matches were still damn good every time. They never had a bad match together. And I still watch their matches from 1990 to this day, and they still hold up. In my opinion, they're still good tag matches. And how could they not be? Bobby Eaton, one of the greatest wrestlers and workers of all time. One of the greatest tag wrestlers of all time, Bobby Eaton, for sure. The guy was great with Dennis Condrey, great with Stan Lane, great with Arn Anderson. He was great with Steven Regal. He's had so many partners. And again, Rock and Roll Midnight, all four of those guys, Hall of Famers. My opinion, Stan Lane should be in the Hall of Fame with the Midnight Express and Jim Cornette. Even put in Dennis Condrey, because he's still alive. So you could have Jim Cornette and Dennis Condrey show up to the Hall of Fame to get put in. Sadly, Stan Lane too could show up. Sadly, Bobby Eaton has passed. So Midnight Rock and Roll Express, hell of a feud in 1990. Legion of Doom. The Road Warriors, when they came to the WWF, they screwed Demolition at SummerSlam 90. Then they kind of feuded with them a little bit. I think they had one match on Wrestling Challenge, or maybe it wasn't even televised, but it was recorded for Coliseum Video. But it was not that good, because I remember it. They put it out on a DVD release, I think, the Road Warriors DVD story. But Demolition LOD and WWF could have been a great feud. But sadly, they had one match ever on TV. Or I'd say two matches on TV. I'd say three. Is that a match at Madison Square Garden that was taped? But it was all tag. It was a 6-man with a Warrior against all three Demolition. And their tag match was like Crush and Smash against the Road Warriors. In my opinion, the real Demolition, the best Demolition version was Axe and Smash, always. Crush was okay. Big dude. Impressive, athletic, younger than Axe, but not as good as Axe in Demolition. I said put in the Midnight Express in the Hall of Fame because Dennis Condrey, Stan Lane are still alive, and Jim Cornette. Also put in Demolition, Axe and Smash. Put them the fuck in the Hall of Fame. I don't care that they sued you, WWE, for that concussion joke of a lawsuit that was. So anyways, I'm going to say Demolition LOD was a feud of the year in 1990 because they interacted and had a few matches together. They also had a 6-man on October 90 Saturday night's main event with a Warrior as their partner against all three Demolition. So they had one TV match, and the others were taped for MSG and, I don't know, Coliseum Video probably. Other feuds of the year. The Rockers, the Hart Foundation. They had a really good match on a Saturday night's main event. Rockers were supposed to win the tag titles, but the top rope broke. Vince hated the match. He's pissed off. I guess the top rope broke and ruined the match. And I don't think the title change ever aired. It was edited because Saturday night's main event was not live ever. But yeah, Vince hated the match, so Rockers' title win never fucking happened because Vince got pissed off at the match. Or that the top rope broke. which was sad and just stupid, Vince. Like, the Rockers were a great team. They deserved to be tag champs. But they were never recognized as tag champs. I don't think it's even in the record books that they were ever tag champs. But they did win them. It just was not ever aired. I don't know if it's even recognized as a tag title change. Hogan, Earthquake. Hulk Hogan and Earthquake had a good feud in 1990. This was after WrestleMania 6 going into SummerSlam 90. It was good shit. As a little kid, I was upset when Earthquake sat on Hogan. And I thought Hogan was dead or had broken ribs. It was hilarious because Mean Gene came on TV and was like, Hogan, you can send letters for Hogan to get better. Send him get well cards to this address. That was pretty funny. But Hogan Earthquake had a hell of a feud in 1990. Also, Randy Savage is the Macho King. Had a hell of a feud, I thought, with Dusty Rhodes. Was it great? No, but they had a WrestleMania 6 match, and they feuded up until, I don't know, maybe they feuded a couple months. But that was good shit. Some Queen Sherry, Macho King against Sapphire Dusty. That feud was good. Let's go to, let's say in WWF feuds. Hogan and Warrior. Really good feud, hell of a feud, very memorable. WrestleMania 6, the main event. The Ultimate Challenge, Intercontinental Champ versus WWF Champ, Champion versus Champion. Hogan. Dropped my soda. Hogan, just as the ultimate babyface, like unbeatable, never, barely ever lost on TV or pay-per-views. Only lost to Andre on the main event, but he had his shoulder up, so he was screwed anyways. But anyways, Hogan didn't lose to anybody on TV or pay-per-views until he put over Warrior. And Warrior, looking back on it, you didn't deserve to be put the fuck over by the guy of the company, the top guy, the franchise of the company. You didn't deserve for him to put you over. And he did. Maybe he wasn't happy about it. But he got in the ring, he gave you the damn title, held your hand up, tried to put you over, tried to give you, or show the fans, Hogan was saying, Warrior, this is the guy. But the fans didn't give a crap, and his title run was a failure. And he held it a while, till January 91, but I didn't like Warrior as champ. As a kid, I was absolutely furious and heartbroken when Hogan lost. I actually cried at WrestleMania, watching WrestleMania 6 at one of my brother's friend's house. He ordered it, and I broke down and cried. But I was only 6 years old. But that's a pretty funny story. I still remember being very angry and crying that Hogan lost to Warrior, because back then I didn't think Warrior should be champion, and I didn't care about the guy. And I was not a Warrior fan as a kid. I thought he was intense and kind of cool, but I was not a fan of his. I was always a Hogan guy. So more WWF feuds. Demolition Heart Foundation was really damn good matches. Really good matches in 1990, especially at SummerSlam 90. Ted DiBiase, Jake the Snake Roberts had a really good feud in 1990. And they had a match at WrestleMania 6 for the $1 Million title. Let's go to WCW feuds. Ric Flair, Lex Luger. It was a really good feud. Flair actually made Lex Luger the top guy and made him look like $1 million, like he was a threat to win the world title. They had a match at Wrestle War 90, was really good. I think it went 20 to 30 minutes. And yeah, and then another match in the Thunderdome cage at Capital Combat 90. So other feuds in WCW that were really good in 1990. This is my Feuds in Wrestling show for 1990. Sting, Ric Flair. Great feud. Very memorable. Sting winning the world title at Great American Bash 90. What a fucking pop he got. That still gives me goosebumps every time I watch it on Peacock. Watch it, seriously. If you haven't seen it, watch Great American Bash 90. Sting, Ric Flair. Hell of a pop Sting gets when he wins the world title, returns from his knee injury at a torn ACL or torn MCL. He was out a couple months, but he came back pretty quick. He got injured in like February. Came back in July. Sting, Black Scorpion. Fans probably would shit on it nowadays and say laugh about it, that it was a god-awful feud, too goofy, too stupid, but looking back on it, it was pretty good. Wasn't horrible for the time. I thought it was good as a kid, but yeah, it was only stupid because when they pulled the mask off and the Black Scorpion was revealed, it was Ric Flair at Starrcade 90, and that was a stupid decision. It should have not been Ric Flair. That doesn't even make sense. Why the fuck would the Nature Boy Ric Flair, a top guy, a main eventer, why the fuck would he want to be the Black Scorpion and go under a mask? In a generic ass gimmick. And all black with a mask. What the fuck? Whoever was booking that shit was stupid. And I said it was a good feud. It kind of was. But I guess, I don't know who booked it. Ole Anderson? Jim Herd? It was not good. Ole Anderson was the voice of the Black Scorpion. At one point on WCW TV, he was cutting a promo as a Black Scorpion. Just his shadow behind the screen. And he was talking about Sting. I know you. We worked out together and we started in wrestling. Like, seriously, Ole Anderson was like insinuating that the Black Scorpion could have been the Ultimate Warrior to come in. No, that was not going to fucking happen. Warrior was not going to leave WWF. Anyways, one thing that pisses me off about 1990 is Warrior became world champion before Sting. And he did not deserve to. Sting did. So definitely 1990, my two favorites were Hogan and Sting. I didn't get to see much of Sting. Just from renting, like wrestling videos, renting them I saw them, but I didn't have cable at the time. So I didn't have TBS. And Worldwide Wrestling was syndicated, I believe, but I never watched it or knew when it was on. But still, in 1990, I knew of Sting, and I was a fan of him, and I was a Hogan guy. Hope you enjoyed my Feuds in Wrestling 1990. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Bye for now, everybody.